Hello, and welcome to Washington Exec's video series. I'm senior reporter Rachel Kirkland, and I am joined by Liz Porter, who is president of the health group at Leidos. Liz also serves on the board of directors of the Red Cross for the National Capital Area. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Today we are spotlighting some of your work with the Red Cross as well as within your company. I want to start out by asking what led to your interest in becoming more involved in the Red Cross?
As the Leidos Health Group president and as a military spouse, the Red Cross is something that I'm very familiar with. And in fact, it was about a year ago, or a little bit less than a year ago, the opportunity arose to participate in the Red Cross board. And I saw that as a great chance to give back to an organization that actually really intersects both my family and my work life. Certainly the health relationship and the health tie-in with the health group on the Red Cross side, and then also as a military spouse with the service to the armed forces activities. So it seemed like a great way to get involved. Leidos has been involved with the Red Cross for over 10 years, and I thought it would be a way for me to get involved in the organization and help support their committees.
As a board member, you also have this insider's view of how the Red Cross operates. What is something that you've learned that surprised you?
It was interesting when I started to get involved in the committee activities. Many people are aware of the Red Cross through blood drives. Maybe sometimes they're the people that they see when there's a disaster that show up and are able to provide support to the community. But I know I did not have an appreciation for the breadth of activities that they're involved in, and certainly the activities that or their interdependence on volunteers. Many times when you see people that are at the different Red Cross activities, those are volunteers. And what came to light throughout the past year was how hard that was during the pandemic to keep their volunteers engaged and active and ensure that they could participate in all of the, even with the natural disaster last month in Texas with the storms, being able to have those people come together in a way that they were safe, but yet still have the arms and legs they needed to help support the community.
Yes. And now I also want to ask you, you serve on the Diversity, Inclusion, and Mission Capacity Committee for the National Capital Region Board. Can you tell me about your work?
Yes. So the committee itself is focused on not just improving the diversity and inclusion of the board. That is one of the things we look at, but they're also looking at the diversity and inclusion of the volunteers and then the individuals that actually support or come to blood drives. So when they talk about the mission capacity, that's really how do they have enough of the volunteers to do what they need to do. So they're focused on outreach, understanding cultural differences, and then even understanding what do they need to do to enforce or to bring blood drives to various locations to get that diversity in the blood supply. There are definitely certain diseases like sickle cell anemia where they need to have the right individuals contributing to the blood drive that would have that type of match. And so looking at what are the ways that they can improve that, how can they understand what the challenges are and be able to address any concerns or questions that they may have. And so that's some of the areas that the committee focuses on.
Excellent. Now, with that being said, you're also doing some work around inclusion with Leidos. What are your goals for this year?
So one of Leidos's values is inclusion. And as part of that, the majority of the senior leadership team participates as executive sponsors in our employee resource groups. I am specifically the executive sponsor along with a peer for the Pride Employee Resource Group. Mm-hmm. And so for this year, our focus has been, I would say over the past year, we've really looked at across all of the employee resource groups, how do we continue to engage with the employee population and address their challenges in a virtual environment? So if I look specifically at the Pride Employee Resource Group, we had a lot of dialogue around what are we going to do with Pride in June. And so last year it became pretty apparent that we weren't going to be able to do parades and there weren't going to necessarily be some of the runs. So the team worked together to set up a virtual environment where we were actually able to celebrate Pride across the country and across the company through this platform by allowing everyone to kind of show their Pride online. This year, we're hoping for a little bit more of a hybrid activity. We'll see. You know, June's still a few months away, so maybe we'll still be able to do some activities in person. The other thing that we are focused on for the year, we received a 100% score on the Human Rights Campaign Index, which is one of the indexes that look at kind of a broad set of capabilities in the company. And so we have to continually improve on and look at continuing to maintain that. So that is another area that we're focused on for the year.
Liz, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes when it comes to blood donations. And one aspect many people may not know about is that blood donations are now tested for COVID-19 antibodies. Can you tell me more about that?
Certainly. The American Red Cross and actually Leidos has probably in the past 10 years, one of our main activities is supporting blood drives. And there really is that look towards not just fighting COVID-19, but the incredible need for the blood supply, whether it's blood, platelets, or plasma. And so as one of the things that the Red Cross implemented was antibody testing or testing of the blood or of the donations, both the platelets, the plasma, and the blood. And so there's actually mutual benefit there. If you are somebody who goes to the blood drive, when your blood is drawn, they will give you information to be able to go back and look or receive an email update on, do you have the antibodies or not? So I actually have a coworker who was here in the building, went down to the blood drive, and a couple weeks later got the notification, hey, you have the antibodies, which means at some point he had COVID-19 and he never knew it.
Wow.
But it would actually allow you to know that you've had it or not. But then also what it's doing is you may or may not be aware of the fact that convalescent plasma or plasma that has the antibodies can be used in those that have COVID-19 to help them recover. So it can be used as a therapeutic. So if the Red Cross is able to do that antibody testing, then they're then able to use that plasma for that purpose. So it's really kind of a great benefit on both sides.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing all this information, and we look forward to hearing more about your work throughout the year.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.